like I said, there's no points on here, so we're going to practice plotting points on the graph. I think it's going to be easiest if I draw it maybe a 4. Okay. And so we need to find points on this graph. Now the points are wherever you guys see the grid marks here, where they intersect, where they T. That's where you put points. So for example, like you might want to put a point here or here, 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 here. These are all places where you would put points, okay, where it T's like this. But we don't want to just put points over here because they're not on the blue line. They're not on our graph, okay? But that intersection is where we're trying to look and see on this blue line where those black lines intersect. And where they intersect and touch the graph, that is where we're going to plot a point. So let me get rid of these because we're not just going to have all these random points here. And we're going to start looking. And I notice at 2 right here, it intersects perfectly at that T. So that's where I want to put a point, is right there. That's 1 point. Now I'm going to look down my line and see if I notice anywhere else where it touches perfectly at that T. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of maybe follow this blue line. And then I notice down here that it intersects perfectly. So that's where I'm going to put my point. And those are the only 2 points that we can put on this line. There are multiple points. Okay, there's infinitely many points on this line, but we want the ones that intersect perfectly at those cross points because it's just going to be easier to calculate slope. Makes sense? Otherwise, you're working with decimals. You want it where it's whole numbers. Okay, so once we have our 2 points, then we can use that to figure out what our slope is. So remember, when we're writing equations of lines, we need y equals mx plus b. So we've talked about how to find the m. We also need to find the b. So those are the 2 pieces of information that we need to fill out our, oops, that's way too big. To fill this out. So we're looking, we have y equals mx plus b. We need to figure out our m and our b. Anybody remember what the b is called? Y-intercept. Good. And that can be found on the y-axis. So we need to figure out what our m is and what our b is so we can write our equation. So we just practiced our m. Go ahead and see if you can find the slope for this one. Go ahead and find the slope. What is the slope? Maybe you started at this point. If you did, you would have went down. You would have went down 5, and then you would go to the right 2. So for your slope, you should have got -5 over 2. Okay. If you started at the other point, then you would have 5 over -2. Same thing. So here you could have 5 over -2 as well. Either one will work. Okay, questions about that? No? Okay, so we have our slope. Where is our y-intercept? Where's our b? -3. How do you know it's -3? It's at -3 on the y-axis. So here's our y-axis right here. Remember, it's the line straight up and down. And this point right here, that is our b, and that's at -3. Good. So our b is at -3. Now we have the 2 pieces of information that we need to fill out for our equation. So we're going to start off with y equals. Then we have to plug in what our m is. So our m is -5 over 2. Then we have to write the x. And then we have to write the b. So our b is -3. Or you could put plus -3. Either way, it doesn't matter. But that's our equation then. That's our final answer. Oh, I forgot to ask. Does anybody need a stylus? Okay. Can I move on to the next one? Let's go ahead and look at the next one. So I'm going to plot some points. Again, I'm looking for the T. On this one, there's multiple places that we could plot some points, right? So the first one I was looking at is that one right there. But as you can see, you could plot a point here, here, here. And notice on our line, these dots or these points are all spaced apart correct, like in the same amount. And that's something you want to look for. Okay, because if they're not spaced out equally, then you probably messed up on your points. Okay. Now, in order to find slope, you don't need to have 7 points or 8 points. You just need to have 2. And my recommendation is to pick the ones that are closest to each other to figure out what the slope is. So, for example, I'm going to pick maybe this point, and I needed to go down 1 and to the right 1. So if I go down 1 and to the right 1, down 1 and to the right 1, my slope is -1/1, which just simplifies to -1. Now you could be thinking, well, Miss Morris, I picked 2 different other points. It wouldn't matter which 2 points you picked. If I picked this one and went down 4 and to the right 4, okay, that would give me -4/4. Well, what does that simplify to? Simplifies to -1. So it doesn't matter which 2 points you pick. The closer they are, you don't have to simplify. So -1 is our slope. What is our y-intercept? What is our b here? What is it? -3 again. Perfect. So let's go ahead and write our equation. We're going to start with y equals. Our m is -1. Then it has the x next to it. And then our b. So you could say plus -3 if you want, or just -3 or -3. Go ahead and do number 3. Do number 3 on your own. I would like to check it.